far as how the White House responded, they said that we will accept the outcome. We respect the justice system. And President Biden reiterated that he's proud of his son. The reason I'm saying I think this is a win for Democrats, or they think it's a win for themselves, is kind of contained in that answer. I'm going to respect the verdict. I'm going to respect the justice system. He's contrasting himself with Trump there, who of course said his own conviction was rigged. Sure. And it was a bias case, shouldn't have been brought, whatever. Hunter Biden actually said those things himself, but Hunter Biden is not necessarily a major figure. Basically, Democrats are able to say, hey, look, the president's son is got convicted too. That's also a first, so clearly the justice system is working the way it's supposed to.
Welcome to Reporter's Notebook, where we talk to the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the stories breaking on their beats. I'm Jim Antle, and I'm joined today by White House reporter Haisten Willis. Haisten, we've already had a criminal conviction with regard to former President Donald Trump. Now it's Hunter Biden, the son of the president. How has the White House responded to this conviction?
I think Democrats really think this is a win for them. As far as how the White House responded, they said that we will accept the outcome. We respect the justice system. And President Biden reiterated that he's proud of his son. The reason I'm saying I think this is a win for Democrats, or they think it's a win for themselves, is kind of contained in that answer. I'm going to respect the verdict. I'm going to respect the justice system. He's contrasting himself with Trump there, who of course said his own conviction was rigged. Sure. And it was a bias case, shouldn't have been brought, whatever. Hunter Biden actually said those things himself, but Hunter Biden is not necessarily a major figure. Basically, Democrats are able to say, hey, look, the president's son is got convicted too. That's also a first, so clearly the justice system is working the way it's supposed to. That's the way that they're
and in a case brought by the Biden Justice Department.
Yes, yeah, well, exactly, right. So everything is fair and equal. There is a Republican counterpoint to this, which is that there was a plea deal that they had worked out with the Justice Department that was going to be kind of a sweetheart deal for Hunter that fell apart because a judge kind of scrutinized it too much. Right. But we'll see. That's kind of a nuanced point. Yeah, sure. We'll see if that really gets any play. But the Democrats are saying, hey, look, Hunter was convicted too. It's fair.
So in addition to this, there are some other court things going on, judicial proceedings, and Supreme Court did a ruling that you've done a story about this that you think might help a future President Trump, if he gets back in the White House, undo some of the federal bureaucracy. What is that?
Yeah, some of this is kind of down in the weeds, but I think the overarching point is something that Trump has talked about. He wants to drain the swamp. He's talks about the deep state in Washington, D.C. So the Supreme Court ruling kind of plays into some of that. It's what they call Chevron deference. We've done a whole series of 4 stories about it. I encourage anybody to read them who'll be watching this. But we're looking at the impact of what happens if the Supreme Court does revisit this. The Chevron deference is the idea that a federal executive branch agency has leeway to do certain things, and as long as their interpretation of what the law says is reasonable, the court should defer to them. There's a long backstory to this. Again, I encourage you to read stories about this. But basically, if it's overturned, it's going to give the executive branch a little bit less power. It's going to give these agencies less leeway to make regulations and to do things that they want to do. That's what the deep state is when conservatives or Republicans talk about that.
And the administrative state is another phrase.
Yes, also the administrative state. Yeah, maybe it's less conspiratorial sounding to call it that. But either way, all these bureaucrats who are in Washington would be somewhat disempowered by this. So it goes along with Trump's sort of talking point about wanting to lessen the power of people in Washington.
So another thing that might potentially lessen the power of people in Washington that Trump has floated, which was a big proposal made in Nevada that I hadn't heard him really make before, was about taxing tips.
Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, Trump had a rally on Sunday in Nevada. People were really looking for who was going to endorse for Senate. That was kind of the thing people were looking for. Is he going to endorse anyone during this? He did end up endorsing the Senate candidate named Brown.
Sam Brown.
Yeah, Sam Brown afterwards. Sorry, I couldn't remember his first name. But he didn't do that during the rally. He made this proposal. It was not teased or anything that he's going to not tax tip wages, which is a pretty big deal in Nevada. You have Las Vegas and you have Reno. It's a very service industry, tourism-driven state. So that's a big deal in that state. He doesn't have actually the power to do that on his own. You have to ask Congress to do it, but still gives him a pretty big talking point.
What is the White House saying about the possibility of the president pardoning his son?
The White House is saying, going back to your first question then, that he is not going to pardon his son, and he was asked specifically now if he would commute the sentence, because that was supposed to be kind of like the loophole. They could commute the sentence without pardoning it. Right. He said no to that as well. So he has said, what happens to Hunter, I'm going to let that stand.
and President Biden on Amtrak was always a big commuter. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Haisten.
All right, thanks.
You can read Haisten and the rest of our political team's coverage at washingtonexaminer.com.